Hey guys, and welcome back into our weekly prep show. And we're going to start today's show with a little breaking news from our guy Lindsey Young.
Thanks, man. The GHSA is adding a week to the regular season in Georgia due to the storms this week. A lot of schools in south of Georgia and some in the middle states pretty much didn't play because every game had to be canceled, and so they're letting them make that up at the end of the season. Pretty much for teams around here, it's just going to be an extra bye week before the playoffs start. Now, the other thing is they had built in an off week during Thanksgiving for, it had something to do with the Mercedes-Benz Stadium being unavailable or something. I don't know. But they're going to play through now instead of having that off. So championships and all that should be the same week unless they decide to.
So that actually works out better. I never understood the week off during the playoffs anyway. So good. Well, in Tennessee, looking back at last week in Tennessee, big takeaways. Boyd Buchanan, Baylor, McCallie all went on the road and got big wins, impressive defensive performances, really bad weather for, so the offenses were probably never going to dominate, but Boyd allowed 7 points at CCS, Baylor allowed 6 in their win at Brentwood Academy, and McCallie shut out NBA, so big defensive performances there from those teams, all ranked in the top 2 in their private school classifications. And then we'll talk a little bit about what Baylor and McCallie have coming up with each other later. But also, take away from last week, Ray County with a 16-0 win against Walker Valley. That sets up the Golden Eagles now. They've got region games at McMinn County coming up, and then 3 straight home games, including Ooltewah and East Hamilton in their region. So Ray County and East Hamilton could come down that last week playing for the region championship there for those guys in 5A. Lindsey, what about in Georgia?
Last week marked the end of the undefeated teams in the area. Northwest Whitfield, Chattanooga, and Tryon all lost, so it's just going to jumble things up a little more. We also have one less winless team since Ridgeland got on the board. Ended a 3-year losing streak. I'll have more about that Friday. And this week, the big games in Georgia include a couple of big games. In 7AA, Ringgold hosts Union County.
Mm-hmm.
And Ringgold needs a win to get in the driver's seat to host a playoff game. North Cobb Christian is currently in the second spot, but they're going to be moved out to the private school bracket in the postseason. So that 2 spot is sitting there wide open, and Ringgold can get it. But they have to beat Union County Friday. The other one is Gordon Lee at Dade County. The same thing, Christian Heritage will be moved out of that 7A Division I bracket. They'll be going to the private school bracket. So Fannon's a clear favorite there, but the number 2 spot is wide open. And hopefully, one of these 2 teams, who wins it's got a good shot to get it. Big run games going against each other. Dade's Evan Koger, Gordon Lee's Peyton Gross coming off 200-yard games each. Mm-hmm. They've each got like 700 yards on the season, so it'll be a slugfest.
Well, in Tennessee, the big news this week, obviously, it's rivalry week. That's always hard to say, rivalry week. We've got McCallie going to Baylor. That's number 1 versus number 2 in Division II AAA. Of course, they played last year in the state championship. The longest rivalry we've got going in the Chattanooga area, one of the longest in Tennessee. That one, I really think that's just a prelude to those 2 teams playing again in the playoffs, maybe even in the state championship once again. They are that much better than everybody else in Division II AAA. But, man, that's going to dominate pretty much everything that we do in Tennessee with our Friday coverage. Also, we have Red Bank at Soddy Daisy in that's an old school rivalry and also a region rivalry. So the Trojans really have been just bulldozing over people right now, but now they're about to run into a Red Bank team with a lot of athletes that can throw at them. So that should be a very interesting matchup as well. Also, kind of an old school Sequatchie Valley rivalry. It's not a region game or anything like that, but Bledsoe County at Whitwell. Whitwell right now has outscored their 6 opponents 268-7, and the 7 came on a pick 6, so their defense is yet to allow a point this year. They're going to get tested this week by a Bledsoe County team that's ranked 6th, I think, in 2A. That's a real good measuring stick game for those 2 teams as they go into their, toward the playoffs, where both of them expect to make a deep run in the playoffs. So really, that's it. Breaking news for us in Tennessee, Cleveland just signed a contract to make up last week's game that was canceled with Red Bank. They're going to go to Charlotte Christian to play a nationally ranked Charlotte Christian team that has like 4 or 5 Division I prospects. So hats off to Cleveland for last minute finding a game for those kids to get to play and make up for last week's cancellation. But we'll talk about Baylor McCallie. We'll recap all that stuff next week, as well as Southern Daisy Red Bank, and look ahead to next week's big games as we kind of hit that stretch run toward the playoffs. All right, and one thing I would like to add, just a reminder to all of our area coaches, if you have someone on your staff, a stat keeper or an assistant, who can make sure that they send Georgia scores and highlights, stats, things like that on Friday night to Lindsey Young. Tennessee coaches, if you can send your results to me, it's at lyoung@timesfreepress.com, and for me it's shargis@timesfreepress.com. Or you can text us, call us, whatever's easier for you guys. But we want to make sure that we get all of our local kids the highlights, the stats on the website. So if you guys would, every Friday, make sure that you give us those results. Thank you.
Please do.
I'm Stephen Hargis for Lindsey Young. Look forward to seeing you guys next week.